Well, get out your aprons. We have the toast of the Twin Cities baking world in the studio this morning.
We do. She's the champion of this year's Star Tribune Holiday Cookie Contest. And yes, she brought cookies.
Better.
Please welcome Minneapolis baking extraordinaire, Cynthia Baxter.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you, thank you.
It's
Good
a
to see
pleasure.
you. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
This is a good an opener into talking with people about having fantastic cookies. And you have the winning cookie recipe. And what we learned is that the primary taster is your husband.
That is correct. My husband Bruce, yes, he is a faithful taster and he doesn't say much, but I would have
It's all in the
known
face.
if it was not good.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
How many versions did you go through before you got it right?
I was afraid you were going to ask that because I'm going to sound like a real jerk, but honestly, I figured it out. I made it. It was fine.
Oh, no kidding.
One
Good
time?
for you.
I know.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes being lucky is all that matters.
I've made this recipe, the shortbread part, a million, like literally a million times.
Okay.
So I knew that was solid. So then just adding some other components and then coming up with the icing was.
And walk us through that. Like, what's in the cookie?
So there, I put a little, so there's the rosemary sugar is important. So I take,
sugar.
right, so I take brown sugar, I smush a piece of rosemary, I shove it under the sugar and I let it sit there for a couple of days.
Oh.
And so it sort of, it's
Permeates the sugar?
It does, but it's not overwhelming. And then, and so then that goes in the cookie, and then I put in a little rosemary, a little lemon zest, and then the icing has lemon juice and mascarpone in it. So, yeah.
And we know when making Christmas cookies or many cookies, you need to refrigerate the dough. So after you decided to shove that rosemary in a couple of days, just kind of taking in the smell of rosemary, which is, who doesn't love rosemary?
Yes.
But then, now what is the key as far as refrigerating the dough?
So I throw the dough together, and I stick it in the refrigerator for about a half hour. Because I want it still pliable to roll out. But yeah.
Is this something you can kind of make the dough ahead of time, say a couple days, and then just let it sit on the counter for a little while and become moldable?
You certainly could. You could freeze the dough also.
Okay.
Amy from Lunds and Byerly's, she suggested that when we chatted, and she makes a bunch of dough and she freezes it, and then she takes it out and gets it to room temperature.
And speaking of Lunds and Byerly's, they actually made your cookie.
They did.
And they made it made to sell. I actually, I saw them tweet this or something or other. I don't know if they have any left, but you didn't physically make these, but they made it from your recipe.
That's correct.
That's awesome.
Yes, yes. I would have been very sad if I had had to make
That would be a lot of time.
thousands of cookies. What's that feel like? Like to go from, hey, I'm just making the cookie to, oh, there's somebody selling my cookie now.
Super weird.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. So I went to the store and I was like, oh my, this is just so
crazy.
It's so silly.
Is it one of those things where you're like, this is my cookie?
No.
They're selling my cookie.
No.
And I want money. I mean, honestly.
Well, now, you know.
You're on to something.
Lunds and Byerly's, if you are watching, you heard it here.
She needs a tip.
Okay, so you have been a baker for a long time, since you were 11. And are some of your cookies drawn down, are there ancestors out there that have some of these
family recipes?
Thank you. Family recipes.
I would just say I have made this shortbread cookie forever, and I've used just any iteration of different kinds of sugar and different kinds of flavoring and different kinds of icing, no icing. So I just think shortbreads are just a great cookie,
They kind of go with everything.
They do.
Oh, I'm gonna have this meal. That'll go with that. I'm gonna have tea. That'll go with that. Oh, I'm gonna have coffee. Go with that.
Right.
It is a very moldable cookie, and is this the only one you? So you kind of specialize in this. Is this like your first kind of go around with the cookies? Do you like making other kinds of cookies?
I do like making other cookies, and I am going to brag just a little
Go
bit
on.
here.
Please
Go
do.
on. Now's
Please
the
do.
time.
So I was a finalist for the cookie contest before.
Oh, no kidding.
And I made a marzipan, almond, cherry shortbread, but it was like in a roll, and you sliced it. So
you do like your shortbread cookie?
I do like my shortbread cookies.
I'm assuming you're going to continue like making these and submitting new ones now. Now that you've got this down, you've won once. You're like, yeah, I can do this every year. No big deal.
The pressure.
I think it's such a cute and lovely local tradition. but you can't have a contest without contestants.
True.
So you gotta step up and do it. And so I think I might contribute again. I certainly have not always been picked. So. You know.
And this year, in the last couple of years, actually, COVID, did it have you in the kitchen thinking, all right, maybe I should come up with some more recipes, or were you in the kitchen more coming up with different kinds of cookies or other food?
I was working from home for the most part. I just recently retired, but I was working from home. So my office was my kitchen island.
Oh, no kidding.
I live in a very small condo, so so I was in the kitchen.
Already.
So sometimes I do have to admit, I would be like, oh, you know what?
Do a little
cake
work,
would be nice.
turn around, put those in the oven, turn back, do a little work.
That's right.
Hey, there's
yes.
nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that.
Why not?
It paid off.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah,
It paid
yeah.
off nicely.
All right, well, maybe we'll have.
We're gonna taste
Yeah,
test. Don't worry.
please.
Those you aren't going home with those. Those are gonna be gone.
I am thrilled.
Okay, all right. Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
And
too.
you can get the full winning recipe on the StarTribune.com. And we'll post today's segment on the Fox 9 Good Day Facebook page.